Hello, everybody. This is Angel Arts, and welcome to session 1 of the Wizarding World Spinoff campaign, which I'm kind of just calling the Orion campaign, just like for short. And this is actually a spinoff of the main Wizarding World campaign, the Wizarding World Circle of Fate campaign. And the nice thing is the main cast had no idea this was happening. You, the viewers, hopefully had no idea this was happening behind the scenes. But this story sort of is occurring in parallel to the events of the main campaign. And if you haven't seen session 0 of this campaign yet, I would highly recommend that you watch it, not just because it gives you a chance to get to know the players and to get to know the characters, but we did roleplay quite a bit of canon story during session 0, and if you miss that, you're probably going to get a little bit lost if you start watching from session 1. So please consider watching session 0. I promise it'll make the rest of this stuff make a lot more sense, and we will continue on from there. So we have our players plus our guest player, Callista. Welcome, Callista.
Hello.
You are our very first guest character.
I'm honored.
Yes. And I just wanted to tell Callista I'm super excited because during her audition, I was so impressed by not just myself, everybody was impressed by her, how eloquent she was. People really loved her character concept, and it was just really interesting just to learn more about her character, and I'm really excited to learn more about Isadora in this campaign. So, but before we do that, we're going to do a warm-up question, and the warm-up question is, for those of you who've watched paranormal shows like The Twilight Zone, Dark Mirror, Black Mirror, whatever that one's called, even Supernatural, of those types of shows, what story that was told by those shows really resonated with you personally? And if you want me to stall, I can answer that question as well.
The one that probably sticks out the most in my mind and stuck with me to this day was a Twilight Zone episode known as The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. Oh, it was a story about paranoia, a power outage on in a neighborhood that happened, that all the power went out, and eventually all the neighbors started turning on each other out of paranoia, and it became kind of a witch hunt by the end of it. And it went to chaos, and it was mostly about it mostly stuck on our mind because of it showed how prejudices and biases and own paranoia could cause people to turn on each other and all that, and it really stuck out in my mind.
I actually thought of a second one, but the one that stood out to me a lot was actually an old episode of The X-Files, and it had Mark Shepard guesting in it. And he was playing a character who was a stalker of this rich English lady. And he was I'm trying to actually remember what it's called, but you can set fires with your mind.
Pyromancer.
That kind of thing. And it was just, I remember it being such a creepy episode. And I remember and I don't mind talking about this because it's been a long time, but I used to have a stalker. So it really resonated with me. About how terrifying that can be, especially if they manage to find you again. And Mark Shepard, being such a great actor, really played up that just creep factor. And the imagery was great because Muller, I believe his name was, the male character in that game, in the movie, in the show, he had a fear of fires as well. So it was him facing that fear in order to save this woman and her family. It was just such an impactful episode to me. I remember watching it and being kind of shook, but also very impressed by it.
So it was an episode of Black Mirror. I can't remember the title of it. I think it had something to do with a polar bear. I can't really remember. But the premise was a woman wakes up with no memory, and all around her are these photos of her, a man, and a little girl, I think. And she goes out into the world and she gets told that this epidemic has occurred and there are all these people with their mobile phones and they're filming her. They're just following them, filming her as they go, and she's finding other survivors who aren't having this mobile phone camera craze, and they're being traced by almost Mad Max style bandits, and they're running through the woods. And I won't spoil the twist at the end, but it was just, I liked the juxtaposition of this woman who is in distress. She's looking for help and she is surrounded by people, none of whom will help her because they are all using their phones to capture her distress on film. And I really like that. That spoke to me a lot.
At one of my schools, there's this supernatural episode where they deal a lot with crossroads and crossroad demons and stuff, and it's just something that I could connect to, because at one of my schools I knew a few people who got suspended because I went to Catholic schools, because they were doing crossroads stuff, like in the show, like burying at the crossroad, the center, with like their pictures and everything. And they got suspended, but fun little side note, most of them got straight A's after that.
So I have to admit, I am very naive and I have no idea what you mean by crossroads, and I went to Catholic school. I have no clue. Could you...
Sure.
Are you able to?
Yeah. So it's like you go to the a crossroads. So it's like a cross intersection, and you go into the middle and you dig a hole and you put some components together, and you put a picture of yourself in like a tin or a container, and you bury it, and a demon or a devil or whatever is supposed to come and grant you a wish for your soul.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. And they were caught? Interesting.
Yeah, because they did it at night, and there was like security and...
Okay. Interesting. Had no idea. Ronick, do you have something?
Unfortunately, no. I have barely seen any paranormal shows because I'm a scaredy cat. I can't do any... really can't bear any of those kinds of shows, so I really can't think of anything.
Okay. No, fair enough. I, just like Ronick, am a bit of a scaredy cat when it comes to horror things. But for those of you who are of that age, I think many of you who are watching might be of the age where you remember Goosebumps. They were written by R.L. Stine. And actually, when Goosebumps was first released, it was kind of past... I was kind of too old for that demographic, but I had read R.L. Stine's other books. He actually wrote another series before Goosebumps, which was for an older audience, called Fear Street, and I read those a lot as a young adult or middle schooler. And then Goosebumps started coming out, and they seemed like cool, younger audience books, and I just started reading them because you can go through them really quickly. And then at some point, the Sixth Sense movie came out, and I feel bad and good at the same time, because when the Sixth Sense first came out that weekend, I totally called the ending within the first 5 minutes because of Goosebumps, and I felt bad because the movie's been out for a while, so hopefully, I'll just put a disclaimer that I'm about to spoil the ending of the movie, but it's been out for a while, so hopefully most people know what the ending is. After the first scene, I turned to my friends, and again, I had no idea whether I was right or not. I turned to my friends and I was like, is he still alive? and I felt horrible because all throughout the movie, I kept watching every scene thinking, is he still alive? and my friends were so angry at me by the end because I totally spoiled the whole movie for them. And I'm like, I swear I didn't know. I had no idea. It was because I read a book in Goosebumps where the protagonist thinks this other character is a ghost, but the twist is the protagonist was the ghost the whole time. They were the ghost the entire time. And so when I saw The Sixth Sense and I knew from the trailer it's about this kid who can see dead people, I immediately thought of that book because I had only read it like 3 months prior, and I'm like, I bet you he's actually a ghost this whole time. And then the whole movie was spoiled for me, but oh well. So that's what resonated with me. So, cool. All right. So we are going to begin session 1. Before I continue, I should also make sure I remember to tell everybody that the tone of this campaign is going to be a bit different from the tone of the main campaign. We are going to hit into some pretty dark themes by comparison, and by dark I mean Black Mirror dark. So just to give you guys a fair warning in case you might be overly sensitive about certain things, each scene is going to be different, each story is going to be different with a guest character. I'm just warning you now that this may or may not be uncomfortable for certain viewers. So anyway, so to set up the scene, the Orion agents are in their private jet, and Callista, give me a location anywhere around the world that you'd like for your character to live in, reside.
She lives in England, in the north, in the moors.
Okay, cool. So your plane is headed to England, and the moors, you said, is where? Gotcha. Mm. And Saif is going to brief you all on what's happening. So we're going to say that you guys have like a laptop or something, and even though this is the 90s, the technology is advanced enough in such a way that there's some form of like video conferencing even back then.
For us.
And
just for us, though.
Just for you guys. Yeah. Maybe you guys had like the beta of Netflix before it was a thing or whatever that you can watch. Back in the day when Blockbuster was still a thing. So Saif will explain to you, all right, agents, so this is your, I guess, first official mission? I mean, after meeting Felix, of course.
Yeah. Felix is off to the side, just adjusting his tie a bit awkwardly. He's now wearing a suit and a tie because he's now an agent.
Yeah.
It looks very awkward.
So anyway, Agent Saif will explain to everyone, there's been a series of unexplained disappearances that's been going on in England over the last several months. The victims have been little children between the ages of 6 months to 3 years of age. They're not really the police officers aren't sure if who these kidnappings are being done by, if they're all done by the same person or people. The police officers that have been trying to investigate these cases have just run into dead end after dead end. There have been no traces in any of these cases of break-ins, and as you can imagine, this has been weighing on a deep toll on all the families that's been affected by the disappearances of these children.
Do we have any information? Was there anything left behind when these children were taken?
The investigators and detectives have been trying to find some sort of connection between all these cases, whether it's people of a certain demographic, if they are people of a certain social status, or even racially. There doesn't seem to be any major connection to these, although the only connection they can kind of make off the record is that at least the earlier cases are parents who had these children that were supposedly unplanned. Accidents, I guess you could call them, to be blunt about it.
I guess maybe maybe they're targeting people who are less attentive. That feels terrible to say. I'm sorry.
Do we know if they were taken mostly from homes or from a maternity ward in a hospital? Anything like that?
The vast majority of them were from homes. There were a few cases where they were taken out in public, when their children were playing with other kids in the playgrounds, for example. There was one case, this particular case, where a child had disappeared while the father was watching, put a great strain on the couple, as you can imagine. The mother definitely was blaming the husband's the husband for this disappearance, for not watching their child closer, and it's definitely been extremely rough on all of these families.
There were no eyewitnesses or anything for these public cases?
No witnesses at all. No, they've been trying to find out if there's any description of anyone who's been seen with these children, but it's almost like they've vanished without a trace, for no explainable reason.
Since these have been considered vanishings, I'm guessing there have been no bodies found.
No bodies have been found either, so...
Any ransoms?
That's the weirdest thing. No ransoms either. There doesn't seem to be any reason why anyone would want to be kidnapping these children. It's very eerie and uncomfortable, to say the least.
Yeah.
Hark, would I actually have any knowledge about creatures that might want to take children?
Roll knowledge. What would this be?
I have magical creatures.
That's probably the closest. That's probably the closest. Go ahead and roll
Would
that.
I be able to roll as well?
Yeah, if you believe that your character would think to do so, you may roll that and let me know what your values are, please.
Okay, just a knowledge roll?
12 total for me.
Okay. 12 is very good. For both Celeste and Felix, you know about beings in the wizarding world called hags, and the textbook definition of a hag, at least, is a savage being that looks like an ugly old witch but has more warts. They possess rudimentary magic similar to that of a troll. Little is known of them, though it is thought that they are what muggles think as witches and are therefore popular in muggle literature. And I'm going to say with the 19, Felix knows a bit more about specific hags. So in the 14th century, hags were gliding about in search of children to eat at Burdock Muldoon's failed meeting of the Wizards' Council, welcoming any two-legged creatures as beings. Quirinus Quirrell supposedly had a nasty bit of trouble with a hag sometime in 1991 during his grand tour, and sometime in or before 1992, Gilderoy Lockhart published a book called Holidays with Hags. Isadora probably has some strong opinions about that book. Whether the book was one of Lockhart's fictions, in which case it would be useless, or one of the stories he stole from other memory-charmed wizards is unknown. In 1993, Harry Potter thought he saw a hag ordering a plate of raw liver from behind a thick balaclava, and a hag sent in a word in support of hags to the Daily Prophet, offering babysitting services.
Well, they're not offering ransom, and there's no bodies.
I remember reading stories and whatnot about things called hags. Perhaps we might be dealing with one of those. They supposedly eat children.
They eat children?
Again?
Supposedly. At least that's what the books I've read said.
Well, that's creepy.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
And this and very upsetting. Ugh.
It's quite the disturbing
No.
thought that they are not human, and humans will eat baby animals. Perhaps it's simply, I don't know, just something to bear in mind if they are not considered humans.
I didn't think that this mission would take us there.
There's a lot of dark mythology, and if it's based off of reality, then we are going to be dealing with far more dangerous things. There are historical human women who have bathed in bloods of virgins in order to stay young. We're dealing with dark things.
This is in either case, whether this is hags or not. This is probably going to be very upsetting.
Are you okay?
I will be okay.
Well, let's hope we are not dealing with this kind of thing.
Yeah.
We can hope.
One of the most recent cases is Jonathan Marquin, and she is going to show a photo of an adorable child who looks to be a baby that is probably not even 9 months old. Probably not even. His mother, Marilyn, is a single mom, and she has been under a lot of distress. I would highly recommend that if you go and speak with her, try to be a little sensitive and gentle.
It's a great start.
Oh, yeah.
We signed up for it.
Talk about throwing you guys in the deep end, but these strange cases that don't make any sense is exactly what we're here for.
Yeah. Felix actually looks a bit upset and a bit sickly looking about all this, but he's not saying anything at the moment. He's just staring out the window of the jet.
Yeah, Michael just pulls out a cigarette and lights it.
Celeste actually seems remarkably calm and is just sitting down taking notes.
Vienna is a little concerned and actually looking through his little notebook that he keeps with him, looking through any possibilities, what else it could be.
Can I get the name of the mother again, just so I have it written down?
Marilyn.
Marilyn, thank you.
Marquin. Marquin is her last name, and Jonathan is the name of the missing child.
Yes, thank you. Marilyn.
Marilyn Marquin.
Can I don't know if I want to do this just so early, but I kind of want to try and use my divination to try and
Sure.
see anything.
Yeah, go ahead and roll, and while you're rolling, to answer Ronik's question, Ronik, roll me do you want to roll a magical beings roll, or another roll that you think is appropriate?
Yeah, I think for me it might be myths, because I'm more into lots about different myths, so it might be that. Double sixes.
Double
Hey.
sixes.
Nice.
All right. Because of a double six, as much as you would hate to be wrong, you strongly believe this is the doing of a hag or maybe a family of hags. You believe that the best way, if it were up to you, to try to find out if it's involved with hags, or even find out who the perpetrator is to create some sort of bait to lure the hag or whoever it is to capture this child. To respond to Felix, so you rolled a 12, you said?
Yeah, 13.
13, that's very high. I'm going to say that you guys are having some sort of wraps, simple wraps, sandwich wraps for lunch on the plane. And we're going to say that there's this large wrap that turns into color right before your eyes. And then a smaller wrap comes out of the big wrap. So this small wrap comes out of the big wrap. And then the big wrap takes the small wrap, puts it into the wrapper, almost like a cradle. And then the big wrap walks off, I guess. And then you see there's like a salt shaker on the table. And you see the salt shaker goes over to the smaller wrap, takes the smaller wrap, and then just walks off. And the big wrap returns, notices that the wrapper is empty. Meanwhile, the salt shaker is walking across the table and then falls off the table and spills salt all over the floor. But the way that the salt lands on the floor, it actually has an address. But the problem is it's only part of an address. It only shows like the first 2 digits and like half of the street name and nothing else.
Felix is going to quickly write that down.
Okay. You believe that you might be able to get the rest of the address, but it's going to require a little bit of other effort on your part.
All right.
And while this is happening, you guys probably notice Felix's eyes watching something happening on the table. And if you're following his eyes, they go towards the edge of the table and then down to the floor, even though nothing's happening at all.
I'm just staring at them.
I'm just thinking to myself, what is he seeing this time?
Michael just looks at him like he's crazy.
Yeah.
Very understandable.
So you guys will end up landing, and you will travel to this neighborhood, I would say on the edge of the moors. Not quite in the moors, but like off to the edge. And you will easily be able to find the address of Marilyn McEwen. It is a simple-looking home. The neighborhood itself is probably one of the poor areas and very modest. It is eerily silent this afternoon. I would say it's like late afternoon, early evening. Maybe whoever is at home might just about to start having supper, but you're not sure.
Look alive. And he'll knock on the door.
After about a minute or so, the door opens, and there's like a, like the chain that like, the door opens a crack, and you see this mousy-looking woman, a few grays in her hair, and she's got very large circles around her eyes, as if she has not had very much sleep at all. Understandably so. Her eyes a little bloodshot, and she timidly looks at the 4 of you, because there's 4 people in suits at her front porch. So it's a little bit, she seems a little intimidated by you, and she says, "Can I help you?"
Good day, ma'am. We're here to investigate a missing child.
Oh, yes. She hold on, and she shuts the door, and then you can hear her removing the chains of padlocks and other things. And then she opens the door. I thought I told the police everything the last time you were here. I don't know if I know anything more.
Yes, well, this is a special division. We focus on cases like this. Do you mind if we come in?
Yes, of course. Please. Please. And she'll usher you in, and the house is a bit of a mess. You believe that at some point this woman probably did a much better job keeping things a little bit tidier, but it doesn't look like it's been taken care of as much over the last few weeks. There are baby toys a bit all over the place. You might see even a picture on the wall somewhere of her holding on to this little child. But this entire house, you can sense it's almost like all the life of this house was just sucked out of it somehow. Would you like some, can I get you coffee, tea, anything to drink?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
We'll be all right.
We do not wish to put you out, ma'am. We simply wish to help as best we can.
Was hoping that we could have gotten an answer by now.
I know.
I'm not really sure what to tell my family.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to help you give some positive news, or at the very least prevent this from happening to others. We're going to do the best we can. We just need to double check some facts in case something was missed. When people are upset, things happen. It's always good to get a second look. Right?
I just don't know why anyone would do this. I've never done anything to make anyone upset at me. I'm not a very confrontational person, and we don't bother anyone. I just don't know who would do this or why.
That's what we're trying to find out. Please sit down. We're going to try and make this as fast and painless as possible for you. Alright?
Without looking at your eyes, she'll nod and she'll sit down, and she's, wringing her hands nervously. What do you want to know?
Celeste, do you want to take the interview?
Sure, I can do that. Would it be alright while I talk with you if my companions here take a look perhaps at the room? In case they are able to find anything?
Yes, you're welcome to. It's, let me show you, and she'll walk you over. Mind the mess, please.
Thank you, ma'am.
No word.
She'll take you down the hall, and she'll go over to a room where the walls seem to be freshly painted. You can still kind of even smell almost the fresh paint, just a little bit in the air. And there's like a wallpaper pattern that sort of lines the top of the walls that we'll say is rubber ducks on clouds. Very cute. Rubber ducks on clouds, and a crib right against the wall next to a window that is currently shut and locked tight. I haven't really moved anything in this room since the police left.
Thank you.
Michael, you want to take a look around?
Yeah.
Okay. Should we make observation checks?
Yeah.
Or investigate?
Make some observation or investigation checks.
Yeah. Okay.
And based on those numbers, I will ask Callista, because Callista will know her opera. What is it? Operandus?
Modus operandi?
Modus, thank you. She will know her modus operandi, so she can tell you based on your rolls. And just to give you an idea, something simple is a 5. Average difficulty is a 10. Something that's challenging is a 15. Something that's difficult is a 20. And something that's virtually impossible is 25 and above.
Okay.
So 5 is simple, 10 is standard, 15 challenging, 20 difficult, 25 virtually impossible.
Yeah.
So go ahead and roll.
Okay.
16.
15.
16.
1-6.
So they both
1-5.
hit. So they both hit a challenging. Do you think they might have noticed something with a challenging target number in this room?
I think so. Can I make up a magical substance?
Sure.
Okay. So, by the door, just at where the hinges meet the door frame, that part of the door, there's a little bit of powder. And if you were to look quite closely, it almost looks like there was a line of powder right next to the door that when the door was opened, it would have moved it all. And there's just a little bit of that left.
Well, if Michael sees it first, he would just kind of like nudge Felix and kind of point it out to him as he kneels down to it. And he doesn't touch it, but kind of get a closer look.
Felix is gonna try and see if he recognizes it.
So it's definitely not baby powder. It's definitely not dust. And I'm gonna say roll a knowledge alchemy, I guess. Does that sound right, Callista?
I think so.
Knowledge alchemy, if you have it, or if not, just do a regular knowledge roll.
Well, knowledge is probably my best skill, so let's see.
Give it a try.
That's a 15.
Which is challenging.
Yeah.
What would you say, Callista, from a 15 challenging?
I think he'd be able to figure out what the powder is. Basically, what the powder does, when it is kind of, moved through the air, if you get what I'm saying, it causes a room to reset. So when a person walks through it, the room kind of resets to what the person thinks it should look like. So windows will close, anything that got turned over will right itself. A baby won't reappear, but most things will right themselves to how the person going through the dust thinks it should look.
I so want that now in real life.
Right.
That's so cool. I love that. I want
Right.
that.
Michael?
You should sell that.
Yeah.
Michael, mind indulging me for a second? I have an idea.
Okay.
This is going to seem very weird. Felix is going to pull out the note he made with the part of the address, and he's going to reach up to ear and try and contact Agent Seif. Seif, can I ask you to do something for me real quick?
Yes, Agent Mitaka, what do you need?
This is going to sound very weird, but just roll with me on this. Can you get up a map of the moors and list out can you list out street names beginning with and then he lists out the beginning things of that.
Of course, I'll pull up a report for you in a few moments.
Thank you.
While this is happening, meanwhile, I'm going to assume that the other two agents are going to be in the living room. The other two will be with Marilyn.
Would you like some water before we start?
No, I'm fine. Just ask me whatever it is you want to ask.
Alright, please sit down. Alright, so how long has your child been missing? How long since you discovered?
It's been 1 week, 5 days.
Alright, now I want you to take a deep breath and just close your eyes and take me back to the time you discovered that he was missing. I want you to walk me through everything that happened. Did you hear something? What was going on? What time of day was it?
I was still in bed the night before I had placed Jonathan in his crib for the night. I had his baby monitor on, and I also turned on the white noise machine to help. It helps him sleep. And I went to the bed, and at around, I would say, 3-ish in the morning, 3:17 precisely in the morning, I just woke up and I just had this feeling. I couldn't explain it. I just had this feeling, and I thought maybe I should go check on Jonathan. Maybe he's hungry or something. I just knew he needed something. And so nothing was going on from his baby monitor. I got out of bed, walked over to his room, and he was gone. He wasn't in his crib. I immediately looked all around, wondering maybe he somehow crawled out. Couldn't find him. I turned the entire house upside down, called to him. Nothing. He was there just moments ago, and he was fine, and I thought it was a bad dream, and I
Deep breaths. Take deep breaths.
After, I would say, 20 minutes or so of searching, I eventually called the police, and they asked me if anyone else was in the house. I said no. They asked if there was any sign of anyone breaking in. I checked the door. I checked all the windows. Nothing. It didn't seem like anyone had come in or out. I had nothing to tell them.
Did Jonathan, was anything else missing? Perhaps a blanket he was swaddled in, a toy, a pacifier. Was anything else taken?
No, not that I know of. Not that I noticed. I wasn't really paying attention to anything else other than my child. I called Jordan. He's the biological father. I suspected that maybe he had something to do with it, and I said a lot of things I probably shouldn't have said. I was angry. I was upset. He said I was crazy. Anyway, you probably know that the police have been investigating him as well. Have you spoken to him?
Not yet, but we will definitely take down his name and see if we can't get in contact. Ronick, is your character watching us?
Yeah, I'm watching this. Basically, kind of behind you, just kind of in his mind thinking of something.
At the time, I thought it would be crazy that he would have anything to do with it. He said he didn't want Jonathan, so why would he? But I couldn't think of any other logical explanation.
We don't know yet. If we will cover all bases, we will see if he does have any connection. We do know that sometimes it is family members who will take a child, but we're not going to jump to any conclusions. You are right. Your suspicions were logical, but at the same time, we need to remain calm. Miss York, could you actually go and check with the others to see if maybe anything might be out of place, if there are any... Can you take a log of any toys and blankets, just in case they took something else with them?
Of course.
Thank you.
I will go take note.
Once he leaves, I'm gonna take a hold of her hands. Alright, so I want you to take a deep breath. You need to stay calm, okay? Alright.
I'm trying very hard. Everyone keeps telling me that. Everyone keeps telling me to stay calm. How can you stay calm when you lost your child?
I know. But we're trying to help. So...
I'm sorry.
It's alright. You don't have to apologize. I want you to close your eyes again and just try to remember anything else. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use my legilimency to try and read her memories and see if I can get anything else.
Go ahead. Do you have to roll for that?
It's actually a competing roll. It's my mind magic versus her will.
She's just roll dice. She's very weak-willed right now, so as long as you don't botch, you're probably going to get through.
Right.
But I'd love to see.
The level just determines on how far back I can see.
That's fine.
So
Yeah, just roll and that'll give me an idea of how vivid of a...
I rolled double 5s,
Okay.
and that's 15.
You're going to see in the visions, I'm just going to paraphrase what you hear in her memory. So she's had a very tough life. They didn't plan for this child. This person who was the biological father kind of was more of a one-night stand that they had, a little bit of a tryst that they had. And she wanted to keep the baby. That was still important to her, even though she wasn't very well off. She was a single parent. It was very important to her. She got very upset at her partner because her partner wanted nothing to do with the baby. Her partner kind of tried to get rid of as much responsibility as possible, and she was trying to get child support from him, and it was a big mess. Ultimately, she decided that she was just going to take care of this child regardless, with or without his help. And you saw some more recent memories of her having a very heated phone conversation. She was cursing at the phone at this gentleman, asking, where the F did you hide our child, and blah, 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 blah. Oh, no, my child. Where the F did you hide my child? And, he basically telling her that she's crazy, that she's nuts, and that if, she doesn't, stop bothering him, he's going to call the police and, have a restraining order on her. Super, super messy. As far as the events of the actual kidnapping itself, it's pretty much exactly what she had said, and you just get this feeling of regret and failure. You feel like I really thought I could do this as a mom. I thought that I could do this by myself, and now feels like she was a failure as a mom because she had one job. One job was to not lose her kid, and that was the one thing that she couldn't do. And there's just a lot of random memories of her hoping that some answer comes from this, even if it's bad news. She just wants some closure once and for all. That's really all you can get.
Okay. Alright. I want you to bear in mind one thing. This is not your fault.
I'm his mother. I was supposed to take care of him. I was supposed to keep him safe.
And you did. You realized something was wrong when other things did not. Your instinct let you know this happened and allowed you to act quickly, which gives us a better chance. Your instincts were correct. This is not something that is predictable, but you knew something was wrong, and that means you are a very good mother.
I just want him back. That's all I want.
And that is what we are going to try to do. Alright?
If you find out who took him, I don't have very much money, but I will do anything to get him back.
I know. We're going to do everything we can to help you with that. Right now, you need to stay strong and keep hoping, and I don't know if you're religious, but prayer may help. Whatever you need to do to keep your hopes high, because that is what Jonathan needs right now, is for you to remain positive and for you to continue loving him. Don't blame yourself. He needs you to stay strong.
She'll nod and she'll take your hand and she'll squeeze it a little bit and she'll look right into your eyes and she says, "Please help him. Please."
I will do everything in my power to make sure you're reunited.
Ronick, your character goes and meets up with the other boys, I'm assuming?
Yep. And
By this point, Felix, you're going to get a report from Scythe, and she will be able to provide you with 3 different addresses in the moors that could fit the piece that you have. 3 different addresses.
Thank you, Scythe. You're amazing. And Yeah, Felix is going to stare at the note and then go over the addresses in his head and stare at the powder, and he's going to try and divine again.
I'm going to say that you'll try to divine, but you're not going to get anything.
All right. All right. He turns to Michael and Vienna. Okay, I think I have 3 possible addresses.
Right, is this from your fortune-telling thing?
Yes.
Right.
Look, I know it's hard to believe, but what I can do is real. And this may be our best chance of finding out whatever has happened here.
Well, I'm open to suggestions. I mean, this is Orion after all, and based off of this room, besides the powder, it looks pretty spotless.
Powder?
Oh yeah, Vienna, there's this powder.
I go to check the powder. And I might try appraisal. Appraise that.
Go ahead.
See what that powder actually is made of.
Go ahead, roll an appraisal. Roll an advantage with this, too.
Okay.